Hello from Freedomtax Accounting. We are an accounting firm here in Florida where we have been providing quality tax and accounting services now for over 20 years. Today we're going to make a video of one of the most common questions we get when we are advising our accounting clients, and it's how to pay yourself as the business owner if your business received the EIDL loan funds. So we wanted to share this information with you, and we hope it can be of value and it can help you make better business decisions with this information. Now, we are recording this video on August 6th. We always emphasize the dates on these videos because everything surrounding these SBA loans is constantly changing. New laws are in the works right now, and if these laws come and are approved, they may change some of these SBA guidelines. So that's the importance of subscribing to our channel because we are doing our best to keep you informed with the most current and correct information regarding these SBA loans. Okay. Now, before we start, let's read our disclaimer. This video is intended for educational purposes and should not be taken as legal or tax advice. You should consult with your financial professionals about your unique financial situation before acting on anything discussed in these videos. Freedom Tax Accounting or its members cannot be held liable for any use or misuse of this content. So now that I made my legal department happy, let's continue. So what will we be talking about in this video? If your business received EIDL loan funds, we are going to talk about our recommendation on how to pay yourself as a business owner. We emphasize our recommendation because there are other strategies on how to pay yourself, but not only us, but we have a good relationship with many other CPA firms. And what we are going to show you today is what we all agree that is the recommended way that you should pay yourself from the EIDL funds in order to keep compliant with their guidelines. If not, then you can get into trouble in the future with the federal government. Okay. Now, I'm going to be using several terms in this videos, so I want to clarify them before we continue. When I mention CCorp, it is a business that files its corporate taxes under Form 1120. When I say SCorp, it's any business that files its corporate taxes under the Form 1120S. When we mention partnerships, it's a business that files its business taxes on Form 1065. And when we mention self-employed, independent contractors, sole proprietors, basically it's a business that files its taxes under the Form Schedule C. Remember that the Form Schedule C, it's a form that is filed inside the personal tax return of the owner. Okay. Now, what does the SBA say? And this is what the EIDL loan contract says. It says that you cannot use the EIDL funds to pay dividends, bonuses, draws, disbursements to owners or shareholders. Okay. The SBA does clarify that the owner can pay himself for services rendered. Okay. Now, if you are a passive owner of a business, then you cannot pay yourself with EIDL. An active member is someone that is actively working in the business, because you can be a passive owner. Let's say that you just made an investment into a business, but you don't work in the business. You're just an investor. So you are a passive owner. So you cannot get paid from EIDL. But if you are an active member of your business, and if you are actively working in the business for the services that you are providing to your own business, you can pay yourself, but you have to pay yourself a certain amount and a certain way. You cannot just take whatever amount you want, and you cannot just pay yourself however you want. Okay. Now, even if you are providing services actively in your business, you have to use caution on how to use idle to pay yourself. We are recommending that you do not exceed whatever you paid yourself in 2019. Okay, this is a very conservative way of making sure that you do not get into trouble with the government in the future. Now, depending on your business structure, you can pay yourself a specific amount, and you have to pay yourself a specific way. So let's talk about C Corps and S Corps. Okay, once again, a C Corp is a business that files taxes under the Form 1120. S Corp files taxes under the Form 1120S. So if you want to know if this strategy applies to you, just check your business tax return and find out what form your business filed in 2019. Okay? Now, if you are once again an active owner of a C Corp or an S Corp, you pay yourself the same amount you paid yourself via payroll in 2019. If you're an active owner, once again, because there are passive owners of a business. Passive owners may be investors that don't actively work in the business. But if you're an active owner of a C Corp or an S Corp, you should be paying yourself via payroll, meaning that your business gives you a W-2 at the end of the year. 1099 is not payroll. Okay, so if you're just taking money from your S Corp and you're giving yourself a 1099 at the end of the year, you're not supposed to pay yourself that way. You're supposed to be paying yourself as the owner. You're going to be an employee of your own business. Now, basically, take a look at the W-2 you reported for if you did pay yourself in payroll in 2019. Take a look at your W-2 and then just make sure that you pay yourself in 2020 the same amount or less than you reported in your 2019 W-2. Now, if you did not pay yourself in payroll in 2019, once again, this is for C Corps and S Corps. If you did not pay yourself as the owner via payroll in 2019, then you can start paying yourself in 2020 via payroll with the idle funds. But you must prove that your business is operating, that you're actually working, meaning that if your business is not working, then you're not providing services rendered. So you cannot just use the complete idle loan for payroll. You must show that you are using idle as well for other business expenses because your business is active. Okay. Now, once again, if you did not pay yourself in payroll in 2019, you can start paying yourself in 2020 via payroll with the idle, but discuss with your CPA what would be your reasonable owner compensation. This is a very serious term with the IRS. Why do you have to discuss with your CPA what would be your reasonable owner compensation? Because you did not pay yourself in 2019 in payroll, so there's nothing to go by. There's nothing to compare your payroll with. So, and then if you're just starting to pay yourself in 2020 in payroll, once again, you cannot just pay yourself whatever you want. There is a term called the reasonable owner compensation that you have to discuss with your CPA and find out what that number is in your case. Okay. Now, this affects a lot of S Corp owners. Why? Because S Corp owners are used to pay themselves and their wages in a mixed way. There is a very good tax strategy for S Corp owners where you can pay yourself part in payroll and you can pay yourself part as a draw or a dividend. Okay. What's the beauty behind this SCorp tax strategy? If you're an SCorp owner, whatever you pay yourself via payroll, which you have to be in payroll if you are an SCorp, okay? Whatever you pay yourself in payroll, then your business pays federal payroll taxes. But whatever you pay yourself as a dividend or a draw does not pay federal payroll taxes. So that is a very common tax strategy for S-corp owners. But since you got the EIDL, you cannot take yourself a draw. You cannot take yourself a dividend. You can only pay yourself in payroll. So if you're an S-corp owner, this will affect your tax strategy of paying part of your wages or salary via a draw or a dividend. Okay. Now, the SBA EIDL contract, which is the contract that everybody signed to get the loan, does say the following: that you cannot take owner draws or dividends with EIDL unless you have prior written consent from the SBA. Now, so if you want to take a draw from your business, if with EIDL, okay, you have to get a written consent, and this is very important. It has to be written. You cannot just call the SBA, talk to an SBA agent, talk to them over the phone, and get approval over the phone. That will not fly with the SBA at the end of the day. So you need to get written consent from the SBA if you want to pay yourself or your shareholders with dividends and draws. Okay. Now let's talk about partnerships. Remember, a partnership is any business that files taxes under the form 1065. So once again, if you don't know if you're a partnership, take a look at your business taxes of 2019. On the top left corner of the first page, you're going to see a number. If it says 1065, for tax purposes, you are a partnership. Now, each active general member of a partnership can pay himself in 2020 the same amount as reported in line 14 of their 2019 1065 K1 form. Two things to go into detail. You have to be an active general member. Partnerships have different types of members. They can be foreign, partial, okay? But you have to be a general member and you have to be active in the partnership as well. How do you know if you're an active general member? You basically take a look at your K1. Remember that inside the 1065, each partner or each member of the partnership has a K1 form inside the 1065. In that K1 form, like towards the left in the middle part, there's a section where it has checked off what type of partner you are in your partnership. So that's where you know if you are a general member of your partnership. Now, in that same K1, towards the right down, there's line 14. There is a number there. Whatever line 14 of your specific K1, remember there's a K1 for each member. So you have to take a look at your K1 under your name. Whatever line 14 says, that's the total amount you can pay yourself in 2020 with EIDL. Okay, you cannot exceed that. Now let's talk about self-employed and independent contractors. Okay, now remember, if self-employed, independent contractors, sole proprietors, it's any business that files their business taxes under Schedule C. Now the Schedule C is a form that is inside your personal tax return. So take a look at your personal tax return of 2019, and if you see a form called Schedule C, then this applies to you. Okay. Now, if you are self-employed, independent contractor, sole proprietor, you can pay yourself in 2020 the same amount as reported in line 31 of your 2019 Schedule C. So take a look at your 2019 Schedule C. Take a look at line 31. Whatever numbers there, that's what the government considers your annual salary or wages for 2019. Okay? So you can pay yourself in 2020 that amount with EIDL. Okay? Now, there is some controversy with this, and for self-employed and independent contractors, if you need to pay yourself more than what line 31 says, then we are recommending this. And once again, this would be last resort. There are 4 types of essential living expenses. You have your rent, you have your mortgage, utilities, meaning energy and water, food, groceries, and vehicle expenses. Vehicle expenses is the monthly payment, the insurance, and gas. You need to pay these 4 essential living expenses to survive. Okay, so if you're self-employed, and first recommendation is if you're self-employed and you're still making sales, then pay yourself with the current sales you're making. But if you're not working and you have no other funds available, you don't have any funds on a savings account, you don't have any funds on a personal bank account, last resort, you can pay yourself from the EIDL funds to pay these 4 essential living expenses, nothing else, okay? So, for example, this is the bank account structure that we recommend if you got the EIDL, no matter what type of business you are. We have another video which you can take a look at, which is called the EIDL bank account structure. So we won't discuss this in detail, but this is the business bank account structure that you should have if you have EIDL. You should have 3 bank accounts. You should have 1 bank account for the EIDL, 1 bank account for business, and 1 account for your personal expenses. So in your business bank account, you're making sales. Okay, if you're making sales, you should pay yourself from this account. If you don't have enough to pay yourself from this business account, then take from the EIDL loan, okay? But use this business bank account with your current sales as your first option. Last resort, pay yourself with the EIDL, okay? This is if you're self-employed. Now, remember that documentation is key. In case of an audit, documentation is what's going to help you or hurt you in an audit, okay? So remember to keep anything that you spend with your EIDL funds. Keep the bank statements, keep invoices, keep receipts. This is very important. We even recommend that invoices and receipts, take a picture, scan them, keep a digital file. Why? Because receipts tend to fade. And remember, SBA can audit 5 years back, IRS can audit 7 years back. If you have a faded receipt, the auditor will not count that as a receipt, okay? So it's always a good idea to keep digital receipts and invoices, okay? Now, remember that this is general recommendation. Every case can be different. We always recommend if you got the EIDL funds, if you're the business owner and this questions comes into your head, can I use this to pay? Can I use the EIDL to pay this expense? If you got that question, call your CPA and ask them first, okay, to make sure you can pay that business expense with EIDL, okay? So we always recommend that you take time to consult with your CPA if you got the EIDL loan to discuss your specific case and make what is called an EIDL budget plan for your case. That way, you can make a plan with your CPA that knows your specific case and you know exactly how to use your EIDL funds, not only to pay yourself, but for other business expenses. Now, thank you for watching this video. We hope this content has been of value to you. Please like and share this video if you think other business owners can take advantage of this information. Also, remember to subscribe to our channel because we are doing our best to bring you the latest and most current information and correct information. You have to be careful. There's a lot of bad information out there regarding these loans. So subscribe to our channel. Remember that we are praying for you. We're praying for your business. We're praying for your family. We are praying that God protect you from this pandemic. Please take the necessary protection protocols. Wear your mask. Masks are good, but we do not have to have fear, because if we trust in the Lord, we have nothing to fear. Okay. Now this is our contact information. We have lowered our consultation rates in order to provide assistance to more business owners. Or if you need any help with any type of tax and accounting service, even though we are in Florida, technology has allowed us to serve individuals and small businesses in all 50 US states, and we are authorized by the federal government to represent individuals and businesses in all 50 US states. Now, we want to thank all of you who are making comments in our videos, and you're asking a lot of good questions. We are doing our best to answer all the questions. We're getting so many questions that sometimes time is a restraint and it limits the amount of questions we can respond to in a timely manner. But we promise that we will do our best to answer all the questions you may have in the comments of the videos. Okay. Now, if you do not know us, we are part of Freedom Group. We are a group of 4 companies. We have the tax accounting firm, we have an immigration law firm, we have a real estate business, and we also have an insurance and financial planning company. So we can help you in many ways. Once again, this is our contact information. God bless you. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.